We are underway for FIA Formula 2 here at the wonderful Hungaroring in Budapest, Hungary. Welcome to what is going to be a very exciting session for practice. The green light's on, but the virtual safety car is underway. This amazing Budapest 14-turn circuit, 34.63 metre elevation part track as well, plays host to another round of FIA Formula 2. While we get these systems up and running over the next 10 minutes or so, let's head over to Alex Jakes, who's back on commentary.
Hey, good morning, Alex Brundle.
Good morning indeed. What a list of accolades. Thank you so
Let's
much.
Let's see if you can live up to them, eh?
Man watching the television screen next to me to see the virtual safety car test, which is what's going on at the beginning of this free practice session. 43 minutes remaining on the clock of the 45, and they tend to get them done relatively soon so the drivers can get underway in terms of their lappery of this relatively short but very involved racetrack at the Hungaroring. All drivers are going to be on the hard compound tyre, moving across from the medium as the prime that they had last year. So that is the harder of the two compounds they have for this weekend's racing. The other is the soft, so we're at both ends, well, relatively close to both ends. We do have the super soft tyre in Formula 2, but at both ends of the tyre compound range for this weekend. As we jump on board, Mr. Jakes, with the championship leader as of Silverstone, Isaac Hadjar, coming off a fantastic feature race victory.
Yeah, he kept his head. There were a lot of drivers in contention for that race, and I was impressed with the way that he kept calm. He's never calm on the radio, but his driving was calm. His skill behind the wheel was calm. There was a brilliant three-way battle for that race. Some wonderful action on track. And operationally, didn't it just tell the story of what we've got to come? Because it was an operational error in the pit lane that denied Jack Crawford. Hadjar, you get the sense he's really been yearning for that performance for a long time now. At the start of the year, got up to pace very, very quickly. Feature race win in Australia, having been denied the sprint win the day before. Imola picked up the pieces again from a pit stop operational error, that time from Prima. And he will, having hit the front now, have real confidence because he's had pace at different types of circuit. He's our leader on 133 points.
Yeah, has had incredible pace and taken those three race victories, of course, Hadjar. It is such a loose point of these Formula 2 weekends, isn't it? When these teams go and effectively camp in the Formula 1 pit lane, have to bring all of their equipment along with them. You can see the trolleys and the quad bikes and everything that they bring through from the support race pits. Have to deliver close to a Formula 1 level pit stop.
Yes.
And then decamp back to the support pit lane. And you can see why that gives difficulty to a team that's limited on personnel numbers, and as such has been such a pivotal point of the various races so far. Man second in the championship on 117 points. Paul Aaron knows that only too well.
So Paul Aaron, coming off the back of his first non-scoring round of the entire season, a season built on brilliant form, you have to say, considering he's taking the leap up. He's in his rookie season from Formula 3 to Formula 2. He has been way more consistent than Formula 1 drivers next season. And highly rated academy prospects, a reminder for you that he's not aligned to any academy, in contrast to the man we're seeing, our rookie of the year last year, and race winner after Austria, Victor Martins, is in the pit lane at the moment. 40 minutes to go on the practice clock. But Paul Aaron now has this task in front of him, which we speak about for all championship contenders. You are always going to have a wobble. How you respond to that wobble is going to define whether it's a bright rookie season or it's a championship contention all the way to the final round in Abu Dhabi.
It's an outstanding run of podiums and point-scoring finishes he had from Melbourne through to sort of the end of the Red Bull Ring. As you say, difficulty in Silverstone, retiring from the sprint race and then 12th in the feature for Aaron. Let's see if he can come back at them here. It's got every chance to do so. He's had great pace throughout the year. Hasn't quite had the race-winning pace that Isaac Hadjar's had. That's the difference between them. So let's see what he can do. Difficulty so far this year for the driver we saw a few moments ago, Victor Martins and Oliver Behrman, sitting line astern in the championship as they did last year, but sitting line and stern in 13th and 14th place. They both had their moments of glory throughout the year. They'll be looking to try to scoop up points throughout this weekend, as will this man, the driver who won both of the first 2 races of the year, Zane Maloney, behind the wheel of the road.
Zane Maloney got off to a thrilling and fast start doing the double, and he was our star at the start of the season. It's been a difficult campaign up till now, so let's check in with the driver from Barbados on his results so far this season.
In terms of confidence, nothing's changed, but of course when you get the result you leave happier, you come to the next round a bit happier, and it shows that the hard work is paying off. I think when you're not getting the results for more than 1 round in a row, you start to scratch your head a bit, and we were all doing that, but doing that while knowing that we know where we should be and we know where we can be. So the hard work has continued through since Silverstone, and yeah, confident in the team to give me something to fight at the front.
So our systems are just about up and down because each one is having issues. Big lock up for Maloney down to turn 1 and run straight on as well. So that's his lap time pretty much ruined at the moment with 37 minutes to go. Yeah, so what's happening is our systems, every time you change over from one setup to the other, it's going to take a few minutes just to boot everything back up. So with Formula 1, it won't happen because the systems come on air when we go on air. So there's a 5-minute pre-show for F1 that we pre-record and get it all out, and then that goes out, and then it just sort of dials in. It'll be fine. But with Formula 2 and Formula 3, they come up, their systems only come online the second that we go on air. So it takes a few moments to readjust everything and get it all set up and log in and get it all set up. So sorry about that, but at least you've got the World Free commentary. Jack's here as well. He's in the box, the little owl. But he has got laryngitis and is recovering, so he's not going to be talking as much. But I will say good morning to you, and I hope you're feeling better. Oh, he's going to try.
Yeah, doing all right at the moment. Voice is decent, but yeah, just looking forward to the racing today at the moment, and hoping I'm better by Sunday so I can get to the NASCAR.
I hope you are too. Just rest up, stay in the pit lane. Don't worry about it at all. Anything you want to say, just say, but save your voice. Crawford goes top with a 136.036, and then it's Paul Aron who's jumped up into second, 136.178, then across the board as well. Cordial in third. Durskin now goes up there as well with a 136.629. Feels weird being back in the commentary box actually, because we lost most of the system in Formula 3 as well, but sat down. But 2 weeks off, that's very much handy. I wasn't even in the box at all during last weekend. It was all down to USON for the NASCAR at Pocono. I was controlling the stream, but it wasn't me doing it. I was controlling the stream via TeamViewer as off the track goes Jose Maria Marti, coming through that tricky infield section at turn 10, 11 and 12 as well. That just wants to always tweak the rear out and get it hard to stop across the line as well. So just a few little incidents that has to be cleared out. Fittipaldi up to third. O'Sullivan goes into 10th position as well. We're limited on the ground this weekend in terms of staff, as Andrea Chimattelli goes top on a 134.125. So this, Megan Birch with us in all of the Formula 1 sessions this weekend as per normal. So FP1, 2, 3 qualifying the race. As I think Omi is going to be with us in the pit lane for the weekend in qualifying and the race for Formula 1. No Josh T and no Jess this weekend, and hopefully some of those might pop up, but it is the height of summer, and of course many people are trackside. Formula E as well, Megan stepping into the commentary box. No Ed Hunter, no Jess Ball, and no Formula E Zone. They're all trackside, so we'll have some content from them from the London E Prix trackside, so some driver interviews all get put up into a show and all that jazz, but there is no Ed Hunter this weekend in the commentary box as well. So he's done for the Formula E season. We'll get him on now into a Formula 1 race throughout the year. But Megan steps in to that role as well. And then in NASCAR, Josh T is back. But he'll be finishing off the Toronto race at IndyCar, where we myself, Josh T and Jackson Lambros in the commentary box. They will finish up Toronto while me and Jack move over to NASCAR for the Brickyard 400, later to be joined by Josh T. So that's how our weekend lines up. And in the support series, it's still going to be the same with Jack, Omi, Synthel and myself up in the comms box as well. So that's pretty much how this weekend all plays out. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Ooh.
Yeah, big slide there for Paul, as we see Paul coming through Jack as well, wasn't it? It's just, there's no grip out there. It's a dusty circuit at the moment.
Yeah, this is one of the least grippy tracks probably on the entire calendar, to be fair. But it's going to be very interesting just to see like how each driver adapts, because some people here who might not have been here before, I don't know if does Formula Regional come here. I don't think they do.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I know you're a Formula do. I don't know if Formula Regional come here. That's something that we need to ask George Morgan.
Kimi Antonelli, it might be his first time here, so
Yeah.
we'll see how everyone gets on though.
One thing we know for sure though, let's hear from Paul Aron.
7 perfect rounds so far this year. You know, it was only a matter of time when something went a bit wrong, and in that weekend everything went wrong. So yeah, not thinking back to it too much, to be honest. As I said, the pace was very good, so there's no reason to think back at it or to be worried for the future rounds. I mean, we've been quick all year, and I'm sure that we can get back to where we belong in the coming rounds.
Yeah, let's not forget as well about this circuit that we've had. Oh, hello. Okay. Just having some breaking news being delivered about the presidential election. Apparently Joe Biden has already agreed to step down as candidate and promote Kamala Harris.
Oh, God.
So yeah, looks like that has already been announced. I've pressed the wrong button on my stream deck, so sorry about that. Done it again. 2 weeks off, it really does make all the difference in the world trying to get it all sorted. Coming into it as well, so does somebody say I'm sorry and we'll all be fine about it, but I'm just trying to get systems operational. Did you see the NASCAR, by the way, Jack, over the weekend? From Pocono?
What, last week at Pocono?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it. I'm gonna be fair, it's just your average Pocono race. It's not really like a super exciting race. It's kind of more like a barn burner of an endurance race. That's how I feel about Pocono. I thought all 3 races were great, personally.
Yeah, I did.
I also might have gone on a massive rant about Corey LaJoy in NASCAR chat.
I didn't see. I was trackside, and yeah, it was me and Josh T trackside. That's another thing as well. Josh T.
Everyone here knows my dislike for Corey LaJoy. I don't know why that man has a cup ride. I genuinely don't.
Crawford moves
Because
up.
he has not got a single top 10 on non-drafting tracks.
No, he doesn't. No.
Like, mate, this guy, he doesn't deserve a cup ride. I'm sorry.
Well, that's something we're going to be talking about a lot over this. Where are we this week? Oh, we're at Indianapolis. Brickyard, of course we are.
Indy, the Brickyard 400.
It's going to be fun actually going back there. We're on the oval as well for the
yeah.
Brickyard, so that's getting finally. Get to see NASCAR on an oval at Indianapolis. Maloney goes top, 133.521. Just having to zoom in the timing screen a little bit. So yeah, let's talk about in Formula 1 later on as well. We've got a whole list. Myself and Megan will go through it. I don't know, Jack, if you're going to be just watching around in the background of things.
Or which one?
F1.
I'll be watching the background and trying to rest my voice a bit more. These are the sessions I've got myself down for. Because I just don't want to destroy my voice because I've got like a tournament I've got to referee before the NASCAR race. So
Villagomez
I
doing
need to speak.
Villagomez doing exactly what Maloney did, locking up downhill into the braking zone at turn 1 on the front right tyre. Puts a flat spot on the hard tyre compound that he's got on. As Dennis Hauger narrowly avoids Crawford. Antonelli moves up into second, 133.765. Hauger's middle sector will be compromised because of Crawford. So a little bit of downtime there with 29 minutes to go. So the rule that was in place and still is in place for Formula 3 about how it's track acclimatization the first 15 minutes, then you go and do push laps. That rule's still in place for Formula 2, but now they just like to get out there and get going because the cars this year, the new generation, takes so much more time to get the data and make the changes. So 45 minutes, you need every single second, whereas in Formula 3, you don't. Might see that more next season when the 2025 Formula 3 car comes out and it all gets changed over. I don't know if we've seen a picture of what it'll look like yet. I can't remember. I think it's being announced this weekend. Certainly, I know we saw a demo, I think, in Silverstone, but we'll keep an eye on everything else 2 weeks ago. Dennis Hauger moves up into third position, 133.889. Stanek in 8th, 134.189. Zane Maloney, though, is fastest here in Budapest. The Hungaroring at the moment is provided. And Victor Martins, again, so far to myself, still down in 22nd position. He is struggling like crazy out there. Got a yellow flag out on the circuit. Where has this come out? As Maloney comes in towards turn 4. Not sure, but yellow flag sectors 2 and 3. There it is, contact!
For us to, to see what happens in free practice, because that's the only time that we get to run the prime tyre heading into the 2 races. So any data we can get from that will be important for us to understand how things are going to be in the feature race and how durable that tyre might be in high temperatures.
And the virtual safety car is deployed as Jose Maria Marti has gone straight on, hasn't hit the barrier at turn 12, but the car has stalled. And it hasn't caused a red flag just yet. They're going to try and push him out. He's got a restart on the car that he can get it going again. But Marty, at the moment, a little bit of trouble. As drivers come into the pit lane. This shouldn't be a red flag. It doesn't need to be. Let's have a look. Turns through. Rear steps out. Oh, that's a... Okay, does he hit it? No, he just loses it. Spins around 360 and does hit the front wing, yeah. So he turns into 12, the car snaps in the opposite direction, does a 360 and ends up nerfing the wall with the front nose cone into the barrier. Car's stalled and they'll push him through as well. So, virtual safety car's out, let's hand over to Jakes.
Vital aspect, as the virtual safety car's out as well, the vital aspect of gathering all the data, no matter what conditions you've got. These are fairly, if you look at the weather forecast, fairly representative for what we're going to get for the rest of the weekend. But Pepe Marti, with 26 minutes still to go, finds himself being pushed behind the barriers, and we have 21 continuing in this session.
Yeah, the big factor this weekend is the durability of this hard tyre, and it's something Marty, unfortunately, is now not going to be able to sample. But that is what gives you flexibility in terms of your strategy. And here it's so important. It is a difficult circuit to overtake. You do have that one DRS zone down towards turn 1 and then the one that comes back towards turn 2. But effectively, the second one doesn't offer too much of an opportunity. It's too long radius, that corner, unless you stack the DRS zones together. So it's a relatively difficult place to overtake. Much to be done strategically, though, here by the drivers in terms of management of the tyre. The driver can really affect the way the tyre degrades away. So if you can get a bit of strategic freedom here, you can make really good progress in the feature race, and that's what they'll be looking to do, using the hard tyre potentially to their advantage rather than the medium that was available last year.
Yeah, the practice session absolutely vital as well to gather that. We have seen races here won by the team that you're just looking at, Prima, one here with Robert Schwartzman, lock up for Paul Aaron, second in the points and going deep. Here'll be another one. We've seen plenty of lockups so far in this session. Quite a lot of them at turn number 1. That was further around the lap at turn 12. But we have seen the alternative strategy win here from as low as 10th on the grid. Robert Schwartzman managed to take the flag a couple of years ago with the Prema team running the alternative strategy. So it is always a race weekend where your knowledge and your understanding of what your car is capable of means that you can't be counted out, but you do, with this qualifying format, have to put it in the top 10. Otherwise, you're asking yourself an awful lot. You're basically relying on others to cause drama that allows you back into the weekend.
Interestingly enough, last year, Doohan ran the soft for longer than he ran the medium on a winning strategy throughout the feature race. So tyres effectively, normally here, when you run the soft and the medium as a pairing, almost the same in terms of the amount of degradation that you suffer. Here you're going to have a lot more difference between the two compounds of tyre available. Difficult session so far down at High Tech. Aaron sitting 19th, and they're being cautious, aren't they, in general, with the way that they're operating the cars here. You can see the amount of management going on there. This is a push lap for Aaron, but I think he's just seeing what kind of management we can do here, and it's really, they've gone out here to get a feel for this hard compound tyre and how it's going to perform over the race stint. Slightly better through the middle sector there, but 1.1 down immediately for him on the peak time that he's been able to do.
So Aaron continues on. You can see the language behind the wheel is one of conservation, isn't it? And it's so far off what we're going to see them do when they push later on the soft compounded tyre, when they effectively have their 2 runs of push. And then we do, at this circuit especially, see drivers run in the gap. So we'll see if anyone does that as well later on.
Yeah, sequential laps for Aaron. The reason the way you can tell that he's conserving is firstly from the action of the steering wheel. The less you scrub the front tyre across the road, the less, of course, front tyre that you wear away. And then by this, the way that he picks the throttle up through the exit, as he winds the steering lock off, it just sounds delicate. And they open the steering up before they move the throttle down, and that's the feeling that you get from Paul Aaron at the moment.
Let's have a look at Kimi Antonelli making his way back into the pit lane, and someone has dropped something into his path there.
Looks like the end of a leaf blower to me. As Antonelli makes his way down the pit lane. And is that from the Prema team?
Yeah, it's dropped into his path rather than anything that he struck out of a hand. And thankfully didn't go into the fast lane, so the team are able to recover. Let's go back on board with Franco Colapinto.
As he makes his way through turn 10. This is where we saw the moment a few moments ago for Pepe Marti. Very similar one for Franco Colapinto, who has slightly faster hands.
Yeah, gathering it up, but there's a lot of movement through there. And yeah, managed. There's not a lot of runoff at the pinch point. You can see there that the tyre barrier is not too far away if you drop it and have a trip to the wall on the exit of the corner.
There's so much track temperature, 51 degrees. And as you watch the heat haze, yeah, I mean, you could cook a Hungarian egg on the curves, couldn't you? It's unbelievable, the amount of track temperature, and I think that's what we're seeing. The cars. That's why we're seeing the cars move around so much, and that's why we're seeing so much conservation through the runs.
Any particular reason why you specified a Hungarian egg?
Well, in Hungary, they'll be the freshest.
On board with our championship leader, Isaac Hadjar, here's a measure of how well his season is going. Christian Horner has been talking up his chances of being promoted, but it's the here and now. It's the weekend that he's dealing with, and it is going to be an interesting one for the drivers have to deal with so much. Dealing with a stall at the end of the pit lane is Kimi Antonelli, who's being fired back up.
Yeah, down there to the team are allowed as far as that pit exit line to go and recover the cars. Kimi Antonelli wanting to do a practice start there, it would appear, and potentially the early one not going quite to plan. You do see the rubber lines on the road there where others have been moving away. And relatively patient effort on the clutch there for Antonelli, who gets himself back out into the session.
Yeah, he's got that first win under his belt, and when you win it's one thing that we aren't able to bring you on the broadcast, but when you win a race, you face the world's media, and he had a lot of people in the press conference, the F2 press conference, following that maiden win, where we got hints of the hype, didn't we? The way he controlled in mixed conditions, was making that car dance at certain points of Silverstone. I found it really interesting the way that he acknowledged he needed that. He needed that win if he's to be promoted to Formula One in any team next year, let alone Mercedes.
I think it's a magic weekend for Mercedes in general, and that was a big part of it, wasn't it? Toto Wolff below the podium, the whole proof of concept of Antonelli and his rise through the Formula E straight to Formula 2. We had seen flashes of the speed, but we hadn't seen it come to fruition. And I think although it was a sprint race, many in the paddock saying the mechanism by which he won that sprint race made sure that it was a proof of concept. The multiple restarts, the difficult conditions, demonstrated his ability behind the wheel beyond the situational aspect of the team that he's in, where their performance throughout this season and some of the more difficult moments that he's had.
Victor Martins has gone top of the pile. Amaury Cordial going wide at turn number 4, where there is tarmac on the exit. I wondered whether we'd have gravel added like we've seen, a little strip like we saw in Austria, but it is still concrete runoff at that part of the circuit. It's Martins, Maloney, Verschoor, Bortoleto, Antonelli, Villa-Gomez, Hauger, Hadjar, O'Sullivan and Behrman, Formula One bound for 2025, who rounds out the top 10 at the moment. I was recording a link for Chasing the Dream, wonderful Formula 2 documentary that you can see. New episodes released after every single round that we run, and was recording the link and was immediately dropped by the crew because Oliver Behrman had exited the Haas hospitality, and that's the nature when you're promoted to Formula 1. Everyone runs to you.
That's what they told you. I heard it was just a rubbish link.
It's probably true, to be honest. Crawford driving very well in the last couple of rounds. Sensational winner in Spain. Real margin on the rest of the field that day, in complete control. And in contention for the win at Silverstone. He's into 4th position and ahead of Bortoleto, who weirdly, Alex, is not glued to his teammate on the racetrack, which was the case at Silverstone, where they were battling all the way through that weekend. Really interesting how Invicta handled that battle.
Yeah, it is. It was a more difficult weekend for Miney throughout the weekend at Silverstone, but Bortoleto, who puts the car absolutely on top of the field, has had a very strong rookie campaign by my books. Ever since he popped that Senna tribute helmet on back in Imola, he's just taken off. Whether there's a bit of magic to it, but a run of podiums for Bortoleto ever since he did so. On the podium 3 times, a win back in Austria, and then another pair of point-scoring finishes, 4th and 6th, at Silverstone for him. Doing an incredibly creditable job, sitting 4th in the championship at the moment. Still with a fighting chance even of championship victory when you look at the amount of points still available throughout this season. You've got 6 rounds to go, including this one, so still very much at sort of the late mid-stage of the Formula 2 season, unlike the Formula 3 season, which is sort of homing in towards the end of the championship. We're battling through the mid-year. Hauger making his way to the top as the track starts to come towards the expected level of performance now.
A lot being learned for the races here on the hard tyre. I would never tell you to disregard the times on the left-hand side, but they're not the most relevant that will bring you all year. We are going to tell you who's at the front, though. If you're new to Formula 2, it's Hauger, Bortoleto, then Martins, Maloney and Stanek now inside the top 5. Oliver Behrman has improved to 6th, and it's Verschoor, Crawford, Antonelli and Villa-Gomez. We go back through the order, initially looking at Richard Verschoor, but this is Josh Dirksen, car number 24, off the road. It's been one of our 18 podium finishes so far this season, and there's a lock-up for his teammate, Taylor Barnard, one of 13 different winners in this campaign. That was back in Monaco, locking up at turn 1.
Yeah, a lot of lockups and difficulties. What I'm finding astounding is the fastest time in Formula 3 practice earlier on was a 1:34.2. So we're only a second quicker than that, with you know, sort of double the horsepower here. So that's the nature of the difficulty, with the track temperature increasing massively, with the hard tyre compound, and also trying to home these cars in, and being a long way away from the potential of the cars as well, as teams and drivers try to optimise them for race conditions.
Yeah, this is a very FP2 version of F2 practice, which sounded better in my head than it did out loud, but you get what I mean. They're all in long-run mode. They're all getting data for the races, and that is why you're seeing contenders in the upper places that potentially, on the evidence of championship form, won't be there by the time that we set the grid later on. That said, ultra-competitive championship, as you would expect. We're still seeing the high-techs down there, 21st and 22nd. And when we went on board with the driver second in the points, and he was driving it like he had no tyres left in practice, you knew immediately they were into race run territory.
Yeah, absolutely. So, absolutely, it's all ballerina stuff, isn't it?
And
on the tyre.
They've done the most laps as well. Aaron and Cordeal have done 16 laps in comparison to everyone else. For instance, Hauger's done 12 out front. So they're logging as much as possible. They've immediately turned their attention to tyre performance, and everyone knows that that's going to be crucial, but this is the most race-focused practice session in Formula 2 I can remember for a while.
Oh, a little bit of potentially a bit of an impeding moment for Zane Maloney as he made his way out of turn 1, and then a big lock-up as he makes his way through the apex of turn 2. That's is it Hauger? Sorry, it was Hadjar through the exit of 1 for Maloney, and still the issues continue.
Oh, my
They've
word.
just got no grip. They've just got no grip out there, and that's the struggle that they're having with the track temperature continuing to rise. It's so sensitive out there that they're really having to manage the tyre. It's going to be a big factor this weekend.
You usually see too much speed carried through 11 just through ambition. They're just struggling to hang on to it. Another issue is going to be the heat that the drivers have to deal with. Let's hear from our championship leader on how he's planning to deal with the heat in Budapest.
I think it's a physical track because there's not much straight line, first of all, so you're not really resting, and yeah, plus the heat, it's gonna be a real sauna inside the car, but I'm prepared for that. I made sure in the gym I train in difficult conditions, so no, I'm ready for what's coming.
Well, what's coming is roasting temperatures. I think I know the answer to this one, but what's the warmest that you've had to deal with in your racing career, Alex?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I dealt with a lot of cars inside. A lot of closed cockpit machines.
Circuit of the Americas?
Circuit of the Americas, yeah, probably Circuit of the Americas in a prototype car would have been sauna stuff. You know, 50 plus degrees in the car. They do have sensors in them to prevent the cockpits getting too hot, but we just point the air vent to those and get on with it.
I love it. You hear the real analysis here.
And I can say that now because I'm sat here in the commentary box. Miney makes his way through turn 11 without incident, despite the tailwind on what is somebody improving their lap time.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyres don't look in the best nick, which gives you an idea of what's to come for everyone out there. Miney plying his trade in his second season. Wonderful battle with his teammate in the sprint at Silverstone that went all the way to the final corner of the last lap. Bortoletto adjudged by the stewards to have overtaken off the road, and Miney says thank you very much. I have the third place trophy. He's got the 13th fastest time at the moment. That's a personal best lap time that takes him up to 13th place. He's one of 18 podium finishers so far this year, part of the Alpine Academy and mentored by two-time champion of the world, Mika Häkkinen.
Yeah, it was a strong battle between the two of them, Miney and his teammate Bortoletto. Shame to see that one end in the stewards' room. Seen a lot of this. Bit of a front ride height tweak then for Roman Stanek. Try and get the car plugged in nicely. They'll be trying to settle the rear down, I would have thought, for the long running. You tend to try to give the rear a little bit more purchase, a little bit more grip through the race running. And one way to do that is just by raising the front to challenge the rear tyre a little bit less, especially effective in ground effect cars like these, because you not only change the weight distribution but also the way the car makes downforce. Championship leader Isaac Hadjar having to be so cautious with the way that he applies steering lock, but beautiful throttle application through the exit. Is 11th, stays 11th, 0.6 down, but a slight improvement in Hadjar's time as he pounds on through his race run. Incident involving Behrman and Martin has been noted for impeding down at turn 4. Haven't seen that one yet, I don't think. In the meantime, Gabriel Bortoletto has found his way down into the pit lane for a bit of a data check, I would expect.
Yeah, down there for Invicta Racing. A distinctive yellow livery, but Bortoletto part of the McLaren Academy. That was a tie-up announced in recent times. So he's not been with them for long, but he just calmly goes about his business really nicely. Been a couple of flashpoints with his teammate, both in Spain and the last race at Silverstone, where they were fighting on track lap after lap after lap. And what's the effect for the driver behind the wheel when the temperature does increase? How does it affect you physically?
It affects you, you get more tired through everything that you do in the car. You lose more fluid, and as a result, the physical exertion is greater, but it also affects your mindset. It gives you something else to think about, and the key is not to catastrophize it. So if you do feel hot in the car, the hotter you think you are, the hotter you feel. And you can get in this nasty spiral where your mind tells you that you're overheating, and then you continue to be worried about that, and actually it stops you focusing in on the driving that you have to do. The best way to deal with it is to simply acknowledge the sensation of being hot and get on with your day. It's an easier thing to say than it is to do, but if you can manage to do it, it really does help you in these conditions. Hungarian is a place, as you've said, where everything is incredibly claustrophobic. You're doing a lot in the car as well. The racing is claustrophobic, and it does have that feel about it. So trying not to allow the temperature to give you the red mist behind the wheel of the car is a big deal as well. And that's why we see these weird, uncharacteristic errors at circuits like this, where otherwise good drivers make big rash moves on the brakes late in races because they're hot, it's claustrophobic, they just lose concentration.
There you go, Alex Brundle, two-time Le Mans podium finisher, talking you through the effects of heat on a driver. You're looking at Zach O'Sullivan, who triumphed in Monaco in one of the more extraordinary finishes to a Formula 2 race that you will ever see, when I would love to know the probability of all the things that needed to go right for O'Sullivan coming up. It was remarkable stuff. He was a winner around here last year, on his way to second in the Formula 3 Championship by the end of the season in the points tally. The ART driver, teammate to Victor Martins, as both drivers are winners this year, but I think both drivers expected to be regular contenders at the front of the field. Talking about contenders both this year and in the future, after Silverstone there was a test for Formula 3 driver Sophia Flörsch and F1 Academy driver Chloe Chambers. They were taking part in a Formula 2 car and a Formula 3 car respectively, and they had a 2-day program to run laps at the wheel. 96 laps for Sophia Flörsch behind the wheel of this year's car, the F2 2024, and Chambers did 97 laps in a hybrid F3 2019 as they look to introduce a new car for next year. Great running, great tests, and a great initiative that's been going on now for a number of years. And we had Tatiana Calderon behind the wheel in Formula 2 a few years ago. Sophia Flörsch aiming to join the field next year, and that test will go a long way to giving her the answers as she builds up for a potential move to this championship. 5.5 minutes to go. It's Helga, Bortoletto, Victor Martins, then Maloney, Stanek, Colapinto, Behrman, O'Sullivan, Verschoor and Crawford is our top 10.
Ritomo Miata just finding his way around what is likely to be yet another new circuit for him to get his head around. Really enjoyed being out back at Barcelona. Got some decent results there as a result of feeling like he knew the circuit a little bit better. Hold on a tick. And you got some stallers then down at the pit exit. We've seen a lot of that actually through recent races. Drivers struggling with the clutch on starts, restarts, formation laps. Antonelli again then having to be fired up at pit exit.
Well, that will be interesting to see. Colapinto and Antonelli has been noted for turn 11. We've had a lap time deleted at the exit of turn 3. That was for Bortoletto, and that dropped him down the order a little bit. After push lap, he's in 4th place at the moment, 0.4 of a second off the pace set by Hauger. Maloney finds himself going quickly through the middle part of the circuit, and Aaron going nicely as well. Personal best, sector 1, sector 2 goes to the top of the pile. The driver second in the point standings, and Maloney in the road-in. Let's see whether he is able to take that time away. No improvement sector 1, fastest of anyone so far in the middle part of the lap. The driver who did the double in the opening races of the season on the top step for both, now 0.3 of a second ahead.
So drivers then have done their management now, have looked at the longevity of the tyre, and so the teams will be on the phone to them saying, okay, now you've done your management, let's see what's left for the end of the session. Let's see what you can do with the track at its best and having rubbered in. So now we're seeing those green and purple sectors start to come in. Maloney across the line, big moment for Hauger through the exit of turn 9. He arcs his way through turn 10. Won't have lost too much time, but that will have caught his attention behind the steering wheel, and he's walking the car through the outside of turn 11. 0.5 down for Hauger, who's appearing to lose the rear tyre, as they tend to as they push a little harder through this final sector. You tend to lose still more time through turn 13 and 14 when you do so.
So the pace a long way off what we can expect for qualifying later on, but they are on the hard compounded tyre, and they are struggling in a practice session more than we have seen in previous seasons around this circuit for FIA Formula 2. On board with Crawford, who's been in a decent vein of form in recent times. That 5-second penalty for an unsafe release cost him victory last time out at Silverstone. Let's see where his lap time goes as he comes across the line up to 5th.
Just could not commit the steering wheel of the damage to the final corner. Didn't have the confidence that the rear would stay with him, and it takes a lot of getting your arms around if you have a big oversteer like that in a corner like that, where you have to turn the car then back in to the constant radius. Swapper of oversteer for Victor Martins in the ART on the way down to turn 12 as well, so that's what they're battling against. Although it's been a good session so far for Martins by this season's standpoint, sitting in 4th position. He'll be relatively happy with that, despite the topsy-turvy nature of the timing screen at the moment. This looks like it's not going to be an improvement though for the Frenchman.
Nope, stays up there as well with 2 minutes to go. This is the last lap times in this practice session. Maloney though impressing everybody despite that early lock-up and flat spot in the tyres, 1:32.668. But I don't think we're going to be seeing many representative times, as Alex Jake says. It's a session where we are mainly going into long runs to see what qualifying the race mainly will be like. Antonelli sliding everywhere, and then got a car drifting. That's Colapinto drifting right in the centre of the track and blocking Antonelli. It's being investigated by the stewards now as well, so it's great.
Williams guys.
Say again?
It's one of the two Williams guys. I think it's Colapinto, but it could be Zach O'Sullivan, to be fair.
It's got to be Colapinto.
It doesn't look like an ART, though.
No, it
doesn't look like an ART.
Colapinto's got the solid blue Williams livery across it, the whole car, and that was definitely the solid blue at the back, so that was definitely Colapinto who was leading him. Go on.
You've got a bit of an update on the whole IT outage.
Now, you've just said the same thing I have, yeah, go on.
Yeah, have reportedly said that they have identified the issue, isolated it, and deployed a fix.
Fantastic. So we should be operational soon. In terms
Hopefully.
of, yeah, because the FOM systems run on CrowdStrike as well. Now, they said their system's unaffected, but I've just had to, in the past 10 minutes, had to re-log in to the F2 server so that we didn't lose anything. It came up with a flashing warning. So if you're wondering where I've been, that's what I've been up to, just trying to log into the systems. Now, I understand as Fittipaldi comes second, 132.928. Mercedes, Williams, and Aston Martin, of course, because CrowdStrike is the main computer technological partner to Mercedes. They are all having issues, and Mercedes is having to fix each computer individually, the same as Aston Martin and Williams.
No.
And McLaren, sorry. I forgot about that one.
Okay, no, never mind. I was about to say that's funny. It's not funny anymore. McLaren are involved.
Yeah, so it is all Mercedes engineering departments that are having problems.
British people.
That's from Keith Collentine. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, well, here in the UK as well, as I know it's the same in Australia and in America. Emergency services are down. Hospital appointments are down. And doctors' GP appointments are down as well. So it's a real chaos right now. It's the biggest in history. It's the biggest technological fail in history, apparently. So, effectively, we have a Y2K moment going on here.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Everyone's been saying it's like a mini Y2K, which is wild.
Yeah.
And also, as well as that, I've just been able to find some of the funniest memes out of all of these. So that's what I do in situations like this, is I just find the memes.
It's been referred to mainly as like a firestorm. Now, that basically what that means, if anyone who doesn't know, is like it's an attack on all the servers where everything just goes down and it brings you like to a standstill. It's like, I mean, I believe the term firestorm came out after 9/11, didn't it? It was how they were predicting terrorist attacks and what could happen, and they were predicting fixes for them as well. And a firestorm was like all the technological things get hacked and get affected and get taken off the air. But that's not what's happened here. There's a dodgy security bug that's just affected it all. So it's just a rogue bit of code.
Like, if this was some sort of cyber attack, it would be like the greatest cyber attack known to man.
Yeah. This is just an accident, because if it was deliberate, it wouldn't have happened the way it was. Yeah.
Having an issue.
Yeah. So practice starts are now not going to happen here in Hungary. So the yellow flags are out to take them back into the support paddock, which is located at the exit of turn 12 and into 13 and 14 here, the last two corners. This is Zane Maloney, who is fastest for road in motorsport on a 32.668. Jack Crawford second, and Enzo Fittipaldi puts us into third position as well, as the drivers now come into the pit lane as well. Good session, I thought that, Jack. It was very much a full-on practice session, which we don't often see here for Formula 2. They all got their data, no red flags, and apart from Jose Maria Marti, everybody's got enough information to keep going.
Yep, I enjoyed that. Just a good old-fashioned practice session. Can't wait for qualifying, personally.
Yeah, two qualifiers coming up later today for Formula 3 and Formula 2. Two practice sessions for Formula 1. Formula E's first practice session from London will be sort of splitting the coverage between Megan and myself in the commentary area as well. So the world feed takes you through the first 5 minutes, then we jump in straight afterwards as well. But it's going to be an interesting weekend of action, an interesting dilemma to contend with, and that is Paul Aron leaving the pit lane. Yes, the checker flag's out, but he's got to get back to the other pit lanes. That's why he's been allowed out onto the circuit once more. Closing thoughts then from the world feed.
Characterised his season with a bit of a fallow period in the middle, it must be said, but Fittipaldi looking for a strong weekend.
Further down the order for a long time, the high-techs, and just completing the session now as they make their way around and being chased by the medical car. That's how late in the day it is.
Tyre degradation's not that bad, Alex.
The medical car just making its way behind, and yeah, there we have the high-tech coming back. I wondered if we were going to get a bit of behind the scenes and see a little bit of the F2 paddock. They go on at turn 2 and then swing a right to a gap in the fence and then line up and take their positions in the temporary awnings that comprise the Formula 3 and Formula 2 paddock this weekend. Sometimes they get a pit lane, like Silverstone, old pit lane there. They also get that in Bahrain. They also get that in Abu Dhabi, but not here. Temporary stuff for them.
It's a nice little wander down to that temporary paddock on the exit of 2. It's a great vantage point as well.
Yes.
For when you watch the start of the Grand Prix or indeed qualifying throughout the feeder series weekends.
So one thing you always see is that no matter what sort of weekend everyone's had in Formula 3 and Formula 2, everyone's got their nose to the fence for the opening lap of the Grand Prix. It's a wonderful feature of the paddock here.
In times of slightly louder Formula 1 cars, it also used to be one of the loudest feeder series paddocks that there are, as cars were full noise through the exit, on and off throttle through the exit of turn 2. It was a meeting ender, that one, as drivers had to stop their meetings to talk to their engineers and so on. There we go.
So taking the route back in, they've slightly changed it. So down the hill they go, and let's...
Yep, here's the results then from practice. It is Zane Maloney fastest, Jack Crawford second, Enzo Fittipaldi goes in third, Paul Aron is fourth, Dennis Hagen fifth, Rito Miata in sixth, Victor Martin seventh, Franco Colapinto eighth, Gabriel Borset ninth, and Isaac Hadjar goes 10th. Roman Stanak is 11th with Ollie Behrman in 12th, Zach O'Sullivan 13th, Richard Verschoor 14th, Andrea Kimiantani 15th, Rafael Villigomez 16th, Emil Cordial 17th, Kushmaini 18th, Joshua Durskin 19th, Jose Riamati 20th, Juan Manuel 21st, and Taylor Barnard is in 22nd place. My thanks to Jack, my thanks to all of you at home. We'll be back in about an hour and 15 minutes time for the opening practice session of Formula 1 at the Hungarian Grand Prix.